Hi, Kyle from Interfidelity here. Today we're going to talk about a very nice headphone, the Mr. Speaker's Ether headphone. This is a planar magnetic headphone, an open design, full-size circumaural headphone. Dan Clark at Mr. Speakers for a long time started out as a hobbyist, began modifying headphones, the Fostex T50 RP in particular. Began selling those modified headphones and then began making parts of those headphones himself, 3D printing the shells around them, and just recently has completely transitioned into making his own headphones from scratch, and the Ether is the result of this complete redesign and remake of Mr. Speaker's headphones. And I have to say, I think he's done a very, very good job of it. I think this is a better sounding headphone than anything previously produced by Mr. Speakers, and very happy to bring it to you here today. So the full-size headphones, the look of the headphones is fairly nice, as you can see. I'll put it on my head here. The comfort is just really, really good. These are fairly light headphones for planar magnetics, so just a joy to wear. The construction materials are very nice, leather ear pads. Funny square shape, but it seems to work actually fairly well for me. The headband arches here are nitinol, which is a special kind of metal that is extremely flexible. On Wikipedia it said 10 to 30 times more flexible than most metals. And it does a great job of providing clamping pressure and being at the same time very flexible. The headband strap itself is leather. The end pieces here where the adjustments are some kind of plastic by the feel of it. And it's one of the few complaints I have about these headphones in terms of their ergonomics is when I put them on, I very often end up having the ear pad readjust itself inadvertently, and I have to readjust them while they're on my head using the sliders. So there's a little bit of insecurity in their fit because these sliders, it seems to me, moves a little too freely. Other than that, the gimbals, here this is the gimbal, and the rotational joint on the headphone is very, very nice. These are machined aluminum, from what Dan says. This clamp separating the two bands and holding them in the proper position is metal. So they're very, very nice. The ear pads are removable. They come out around this edge right here, and they're 4 inches in diameter. So people who want to change pads and experiment with that can probably do so. The connectors here are quite unusual. In the article, which is linked to underneath the video on the YouTube channel, I linked to the exact connector here, but it's a very nice connector, maybe the nicest I've seen, although maybe a tad bulky, in that it locks but comes off very easily with a little pull on its shield, and then it clicks back in very nicely. So I found the connectors that he used are unique to him that I'm aware of for headphones, and I like them quite a bit. The cable that came with mine, this is what he calls a dumb cable. And dumb is an acronym for distinctly unmagical. In other words, he knows that cables don't make a huge difference, but you can. It's certainly worthwhile sometimes to put an aftermarket cable on it, so he provides an upgrade cable that you can purchase with the headphones. These were a little stiff for me, but he tells me that that's in the process of being changed right now, and very likely if you were to order one in the next, starting maybe a month from now, you'd be getting a different one. But it's worth asking when you do it, because these are just a little bit inflexible. The cables are available terminated in a number of ways. I have both the 1/4 inch and the 4-pin XLR, but you can get a whole variety of cables for the headphones in terms of their terminated end. Sound quality I thought was quite good. And I have to maybe preface some of this by saying that when you're talking about $300 or $400 or $500 headphones, the price-performance ratio can be higher than it is with top-of-the-line headphones, and that's quite understandable. We all know about the diminishing returns curve, and certainly headphones above $1,000 are up on this diminishing curve somewhere. So the first thing I want to make note of is if $1,500, which is what these cost, is a big stretch for you, you shouldn't do it. You should maybe go look at the Sennheiser HD600 or Hi-Fi Man HE400S, both of which are open full-size headphones and both of which deliver terrific price-performance value. But when you get up above $1,000, it's hard to put the same requirement of price-performance ratio on headphones, and it's proper, I think, to be more critical as these headphones aspire to be best of breed. So I'm going to be a little hard on these headphones, and as I would any over $1,000 headphones, unless they were absolutely amazingly superb, and I've not heard that anywhere yet. They all have their pros and cons. The Ether is just a tad bright sounding. Now it's a little more complicated than that, as I found out playing with a very high performance EQ system that I was recommended by Bob Katz. This is the DMG Equilibrium, I believe is the name of it, plug-in for J-River. And I was able to do a lot of playing around with this, and what I found is that there was a distinct peak at 10 kilohertz and a lack of low bass relative to the Harman target response curve, and both of which contributed to the character of it sounding a bit lean. But I also found that it helped to increase the energy between 300 hertz and 1 kilohertz to give it a gentle rise relative to the raw frequency response, and also a little gentle rise to the area above the normal peak on the raw response curve between 2K and 6K. So I actually increased the from about the middle of the mids to the mid treble, but not the area right around 2K where the peak is at its highest. So even though they sound a little bit bright, I actually raised the treble in certain areas, and as well as cutting significantly the 10 kilohertz spike that I heard. So bottom line, these are a little bit bright sounding, but can be dealt with very handily with an equalization. One thing to note is the distortion of these headphones is very, very low in terms of their measured distortion, amongst the best that I've measured, and will take an EQ well without misbehaving. If you have distortion on headphones and then EQ those headphones, that distortion problem may actually be exacerbated by the phase changes and stuff like that that go on when you equalize headphones. Compared to other headphones in this category, I would say that the Ether strikes a really nice middle ground. It seems to, it doesn't image as well as the HD800, and Sennheiser HD800s are well known as probably the best imaging headphones there are. But it also isn't as strident and aggressive sounding as the HD800 is in its unmodified form. Between the Hi-Fi Man HE1000 and the Odyssey LCD3, I found these headphones struck a nice balance. The HE1000 seemed to image a little better, but seemed to lack the dynamics of the Ether, while the Odyssey LCD3F seemed to be seemed to be more dynamic and punchy sounding, but did seemed more closed in and delivered poor imaging. The Hi-Fi Man HE1000s are very, very pleasant to listen to, maybe the most pleasant of the bunch that I've mentioned so far. On the other hand, they don't have the kind of detail and resolution that a good transient response would deliver. So a lot of people would say that these headphones have better resolution than the HE1000s, even though the HE1000s are more pleasant to listen to. And the Audeze LCD3 has kind of a lackluster treble. It's a little withdrawn and reduced relative to this, but has better bass extension and better slam. In the end, the conclusion that I came to is that the Ether at $1,500 is amongst the lowest price headphone of that group. The Sennheiser HD 800 is, well, actually maybe lower now since they've come out with the new HD 800S, which I'm going to have to get my hands on sometime soon. But having that relatively low price compared to the HE1000s and the LCD3F, and striking a nice middle ground between the two, I've got to say I think this is a good buy in that category, even though price-performance ratio is a little tough to get up there. So I do like the Ether quite a bit. I would recommend you break out an EQ and look at the article on interfidelity, because I did take a screenshot of the equalization that I arrived at with the Ether, and so you can see that. The Ether will make the Wall of Fame, not because of its outstanding performance, but because of its pretty well balanced performance. And because I think there's a lot of headphones on the Wall of Fame that are more unbalanced in their performance and have some worse weak points. So it's going to take me a couple of days to get the Ether up on the Wall of Fame, because I've got to decide to do with what the other headphones are. But bottom line, a very nice pair of headphones, and ones that you should consider and have a listen to if you're going to be in the mood to purchase a headphone at this price level. And I hope everybody gets a chance to hear some of these sometime soon. So, until the next review, we'll see you later.